Hello, I'm Serena Marina Marenko and I'm a digital freelance artist. And I apologize in advance for the quality of my English pronunciation. I'm Italian. One of the things that annoy me most about social media is this urgency that some people feel to accuse artists of cheating. Do you use reference? You're cheating. Yet, since ancient time, since the first animal painting on the wall of a cave, artists used to carefully observing the subject right in front of them. No one magically creates something out of nothing. Sure, Kim Jong-gi had a photographic memory, although he appeared to create highly complex and detailed illustration from scratch. He had actually observed every single object in the past and stored a mental photograph of it in his mind. It was also a unique case. Leonardo da Vinci was a scientist. His work was based on careful observation and study of reality. He learned the anatomy of animals from dead specimens. And as you well know, he also studied human anatomy from corpses. Caravaggio, and this is my favorite, used various tricks to transfer the figure of his model into canvas. For example, he used to trace the outline of the model into glass and then project them onto the canvas with a lantern. Or he used a grid. The grid is a very effective method to transfer an image from a surface to another, and is quite precise. The Venetian landscape painter used the camera oscura to project their highly detailed scene onto canvas. They literally traced the projected image, but the work remained impressive. No technique will be of use to you if you lack the skill and the intelligence to apply it. Alphonse Mucha took a photograph of his models himself, and if you compare the remaining photograph with the final work, you will clearly see the fidelity maintained in the representation of the drapery, the pose, the hands, and even the expression of the models. The light table is a tool widely used in graphic design and comics, especially before the advent of programs such as Photoshop and Illustrator. And I can assure you that tracing an image also requires technique and experience and a lot of patience. Once, a teacher gave us some photographs he took from a fashion magazine and asked us to trace them. They were simple portraits, nothing complicated. Yet most of the results were awful because we didn't know which line to include and which to exclude. It took weeks of practice and feedback from him before some of us learned how to trace a photo properly. Just some of us. Repainting the same subject over and over again has always been perfectly legitimate. Van Gogh painted between 11 and 15 versions of his sunflower. Monet painted the Cathédrale de Rouen 50 times. Hokusai painted the 36 view of Mount Fuji. And I could go on and on and on. There are at least 2 versions of the Mona Lisa, did you know? Another thing artists are accused of today is to use digital painting, as if the computer did everything by itself. It can barely save a backup without your input. In reality, it takes a long time to master an extremely complex technique with many variables, in which program and tool continue to evolve. A pencil is a pencil. You can change the hardness of the lead. You have to learn the 3 fundamental grip, but there is not much to adapt once you have learned how to use it. To be a digital artist, you need to have the same basic as a traditional artist, as well as learning how to use a machine that doesn't always behave as you would like. You will need to learn to use more or less complex program, and unless you can offer a display, you need to learn how to move your hand differently from how it will come naturally, because the tablet is an horizontal surface while the image you are drawing is on a vertical monitor. For me, to learn to draw curves was a long and tedious process, even though I never had any problem drawing a precise curve on paper. So, if you are an artist and someone accuses you of cheating, please feel free to quote some of my examples. Usually the Caravaggio one do the job perfectly. If you consider yourself an admirer of art, please, before making any accusation, even if you believe them to be legitimate, take the time to do some research, study a little of art history, because that's where it's all to be found. It takes very little to destroy some artist's self-confidence, so please be careful.